This is Mrs. Wasike, a teacher of English and literature, and I want us to look at poetry, specifically on 3 areas: mood, tone, and attitude. And these are key areas, especially in the examination. And it's better that we get to understand the meaning of all the terms and when we can use them. So when we talk about mood is the general atmosphere in a poem. And talking about the general atmosphere in a poem, it's the feeling that the poet is bringing to the reader. So you could be happy. You woke up feeling happy, and it's a bright day, a wonderful day. But you meet a poem that talks about a young boy who was smashed by a lorry, and he ended up dying. So at the end of the day, you started with being happy, but at the end, after you read the poem, you will change your feeling. You will be feeling sad. You will be feeling sympathetic for the boy who just died. And now that is what brings about mood. So when you change your feeling, if maybe you are happy and then you read a poem and that poem makes you sad, that's when we say the mood in the poem is a sad mood. So talking about maybe looking at different poems, we can have poems that gives us a nostalgic mood. And what is a nostalgic mood? This is a poem that takes you back. And in most cases, you'll find poems talking about, I remember. There is a common poem about the pregnant schoolgirl. And this is a girl who recalls how she used to be taken out by a sugar daddy. This is a girl who recalls how she used to go to the night clubs, having expensive lipstick, expensive wristwatch. And then at the end of it all, she was now pregnant and she didn't know what she was going to do at home or what to tell her parents. So we are having a nostalgic mood in the poem where we are taken back to the good old days of the girl. We can also have some poems that gives us a tensed mood. Maybe let me move out of poems, because most of the students will think that mood is only captured in poems. It's in any artistic work. It could be in a novel. Let me bring Blossoms in, where we can look at a tensed mood in a situation where Resian is waiting for Losudori. The entire family of Olekaelo, they are waiting for Losudori. And as they are waiting, they don't know how the day will turn out. First of all, Olekaelo and Mama Milanoi are not sure if their daughter is going to accept Olosudori's deal. And then on the same breath, you as a reader, you're also not sure of what is going to happen. Resian on her side, she is not really sure about, especially on the incident when they were supposed to return the gifts to Olosudori. She's not sure if she'll do it with courage, and she had to do the cramming the whole night, so that when Olosudori reported the following day, she did it perfectly. But so that period of waiting for Olosudori is a tensed mood, because the family is trying to picture what's going to happen next. So talking of mood, we have so many words that we can use to describe mood. We can have a happy mood, where we could be having a poem that talks about maybe a bride who has had a colorful wedding and the marriage is also blissful. You can talk of a happy or a joyous mood. So the moods vary. And maybe one thing that I'll discourage students is you cramming terms. And then when you cram terms, you want to force them into poems or into any artistic work. So what you should do when you're trying to identify mood, you should come up with a term that gets along with the feeling that you get from that piece of writing. You as a reader, what feeling do you get? And I think that is all I can say about mood. So other than mood, we can also have tone. And what is tone? Tone is the tone is the voice captured in any piece of writing. And when we talk of the voice captured in any piece of writing, it is captured through diction. Like when you talk of you commanding someone, you must have a commanding tone for the statement to come out in a way that it can be understood. For example, you cannot command and say, I want you here, come running. It will give a very different meaning. But when you say, I want you here, come running, that is a different tone. So when we apply the correct tone, basing on the words that are given in maybe a specific kind of writing, that is when now we are giving the right tone, and therefore we can get a clear meaning. We can also have instances where we have, there's this common poem that talks about, I beg you, and we have it used in every stanza. Every stanza starts with, I beg you. When you look at that statement as it's being repeated, the word beg shows that someone is pleading. So in this case, we can say that it is a pleading tone. So just the way I've said, diction is the choice of words. And for you to get the right tone, it must be captured by you using the right tone, basing on the choice of words given in a particular piece of writing. Now, when we still talk about tone, if maybe you find a piece of writing that has irony, be quick to identify an ironic tone. For example, when you look at the poem that talks about the priest and the beard, actually, the title of the poem is The Beard. So we have a priest who is preaching. And then as the priest is preaching, he's talking about people repenting for their sins. And there's this woman with a gray hair, and she starts sobbing. And the priest feels like, oh, my point is home. And then at the end, after he has finished preaching, he talks to the woman outside. And the woman confesses that she was crying or sobbing because of the beards of the priest. It reminded her of her dead goat. And actually, it wasn't the message that the priest was preaching. So at the end, we get irony. And if someone asks you, what is the tone in that poem? Actually, it is an ironic tone. Sometimes we can have a poem that has a lot of sarcasm. For example, when you look at Building the Nation, this is a poem that talks about the PS going out, and then the driver has not eaten. And the PS asks the driver, friend, did you have anything for your stomach? And the term friend has been used by the poet sarcastically, because in this case, a genuine friend will give you something to eat rather than waiting when he's already full. That's when he asks, did you have anything for yourself? So the word friend is used in a sarcastic way, and that gives us a sarcastic tone. So when we talk about tone, it is voice used in any piece of writing, and it is captured through diction. And diction is the choice of words that we have in that piece of writing. And maybe to wind up, I'll look at attitude. What is attitude? Attitude is a feeling towards someone or something. What do you feel about me? I'll know what you feel about me by how you describe me, how you talk about me. Maybe going back to Blossoms, someone can ask you, what is Resian's attitude towards the Ma culture? This is a girl who hates everything to do with circumcision, the female genital mutilation. This is a girl who hates anything to do with forced marriage. So being a girl born and bred in a modern society, and she feels like the things to do with forced marriage, it is a no thing for her. And now we can look at her and say that she has a hateful attitude. She has a contemptuous attitude. She has a spiteful attitude. So anytime when we see someone being too much critical, or maybe criticizing maybe a particular culture, or criticizing a character, that person has a contemptuous attitude towards that character. Like now Resian has a contemptuous attitude towards the Ma culture. So in a nutshell, today we've looked at mood, tone, and attitude. What is mood? It is the general atmosphere in any piece of writing, or maybe in most cases we look at poems. And then when we look at tone, it is the voice captured in any piece of writing through diction. And then what is attitude? It is the feeling of a persona towards the subject or an object, or a feeling of someone towards something. And we can also get out of poetry and still go to novels and plays and identify the tone of maybe someone towards the subject that is being discussed. And I'm glad for the opportunity to bring this to your attention. Bye-bye.